So when working with microorganisms, firstly you have to make sure everything's sterile. So I've sprayed down the bench with an antibacterial spray, and I've also sprayed my gloves just to make sure that there's no additional one. So taking an agar plate that you've already made, label it. So I always label it with the actual microorganism I'm working with, the date, and then also put my initials. And I'm going to show you firstly how to do a streak culture.
So when culturing a streak plate of agar, you want to lift sort of a stock culture on your loop and then give it a very good sort of rub on one corner of the agar. At this point I'd remove the loop and flame it just to kill off all the additional bacteria. So there should be a very high concentration in this area. Once my flame loop has cooled, I can also touch it to the side just to check that it doesn't hiss, and that will indicate it's cold enough. Then I'll draw 2 lines down and give it a bit more of a spread. And then I'll flame the loop again. This will be an area of a lower concentration of bacteria. And finally, if the microorganism is very abundant, I'll need to spread it again. So I'll take a further 2 lines, and at this point I then drag them out into the center of the agar plate, and hopefully at one of these stages, either here or either on the blue line or the green line, I will get single colonies that I can use for experiments or to culture further.
When you're actually growing a bacteria, you always grow it from a single colony, as then there's less likely of contamination. So I'll just light Bunsen and start by sterilizing my loop. I use just a beaker to hold it so it's within the flame zone. So for a septic technique, just make sure you work quite close to a flame. So that should be cool. I'm just going to touch a bit of agar on the side where there's been no bacteria just to check. And if it doesn't hiss, then it's cool. So just gently lift 1 single colony and open the agar plate and then spread it. Don't have to be too particular in how you spread it, just make sure you know where you've already spread and try not to cut the agar. So I flamed it to kill off any bacteria that's left on the loop. I'm just going to touch it where I haven't actually spread. No hissing, so I'm fine to use. I'll drag down once, I'll drag up a second time, and then give it a bit of a spread. Flame it again just to kill off any bacteria on there. So that will be at a lower abundance now. Finally, just touch, it's cool. So now I'm going to streak across once and twice, and then try to pull up right into the center where there's nothing. And hopefully on these I will get single colonies. So
if it's successful, it will look something like this plate, whereby there's a high concentration. I pulled down 2 lines here, spread it, and then dragged it across, and you can start to see single colonies where I've dragged it across, and then also where I've dragged it into the center. So I can use any one of these individual colonies to actually culture further.
So in addition to an agar streak plate, you might also be asked to do a slant or slope culture. So again, I've got a label on, and I'll just flame the lid to open it, flame it again, and this time you're going for sort of maximum growth. You don't want single colonies. So I'll lift another colony, and I'll just spread it all over. So I go up and down, side to side. And you can also do a few more. The aim is to get it so the whole plate is covered like a lawn. so that you can't pick out single colonies. And then this can be used as a stock bacteria to produce single colonies. Again, flame the loop. And before I close it, I'm going to flame it. Put the lid on loose, flame again, and put it tight. And again, that's ready to go in the incubator now. Because I've finished, I'll just spray my gloves, and then once I pack up the bacteria, I will spray down the bench and make sure everything's nice and clean. When you're working with microorganisms, if you have waste, so say I no longer want this plate, then put it inside a biohazard bag which will be autoclaved to kill off any microbes to ensure they don't enter the environment.